In this week's Stolen Time, what good are men for? Okay, I'm kidding, but not really, because I grew up with basically a single mom who showed me, like, you can do everything, you don't need a guy, and she didn't really. And in fact, I guess I never had like the real understanding of like the need of a father, even though my mom once said something super cool. She was like, a dad gives you a backbone. Sounds like what I'm trying to say is that I've had a lot of exposure to the respect to have for men. So it's not that it was a disrespectful environment, but I also didn't really see the role of the father. And so when the dad was away for a month, as you may have seen in my last episode, I was very curious to see, what would this be like, and also nervous. And it was fucking phenomenal. And this circumstance, I am the primary caretaker of the baby. We used to split time more, and I stopped doing that, and I'm going to have a whole episode on that and how like that's been one of the best things I've learned or something in this baby making or baby raising world. But we used to share more time with him because we both work from home and whatnot, and that is no longer the case. Now basically I'm taking care of the baby, and I love it. And so it's not that the workload was so different, but how I benefited enormously by having the father here, which I guess would happen with having another caregiver here, so this is not really male specific, is I get in fucking bad moods. Like, I'm in a bad mood, or I'm down, or I'm depressed, or I'm like, I'm short-tempered, like whatever is negative and actually unrelated to the baby that I am impacted by as like a flawed human being or regular human being, whatever, unevolved human being, is something that was a challenge when the father was away, because I couldn't, there was a lot, like I remember some days where I had felt stressed or whatnot, and at the end of the day I remember just feeling like, fuck, I really wasn't very good to be around. And I don't really have those feelings now since the dad came back, because it's like a balance, like if I need to take a moment, I can take a moment. And even if I don't need to, and I actually don't, just knowing that someone is there that could lighten the load, and not in terms of labor, but in terms of energy and presence, is amazing. And I missed it a lot, in a way that I did not realize until the father came back. So I'm like, yay, check mark. Very good use here for men. And then, I'm joking. I know that sounds disrespectful. I don't mean it that way. And then the other thing that was super cool is, right, as I mentioned in my other video, he's different. But what does that mean? It's like he's not just different in the sense that he's not me. He's also like different in ways that men are different from women. And in many ways that I don't like, actually. I really do love women. And men annoy the fuck out of me in so many ways. So often, I find them so often immature. Like, no matter how mature a man is, it is very rare that I feel like they're as mature as women. Very rare. This is no exception. But of course, lots of good exceptions. Anyways, so even though it's not necessarily something that I strive to be, I appreciate that it's a completely different and like valid and not negative way of the world operating. So not just like this warm, soft female, which I'm not necessarily all the time, but still it's like this other perspective. And I mentioned also how the humor that this dad has, like he's funny. Like he's really funny. Like oftentimes his jokes actually don't land very well with me, but with the baby he's basically a fantastic joking person. And it's just like, it's such a joy to see the baby laugh the way he laughs with him. Now, this is unmale related, not male specific, but having another person in the house where he likes to identify the worlds with, so he'll wake up in the morning and say, Papa, you know, and I can see that he gets pleasure from being able to interact in the world, with the world, and it's almost like it's another richer level of interaction. This is probably projection, but I feel like the baby says the word papa and like with such ownership, like with such pride, almost total projection. But I feel like I'm giving you a dad. I mean, even though like I'm fine, I had a dad, like, and he's great and just not so present in my life, but and my mom gave me, you know, everything's fine. But like it's just this feeling of like the everyday reality of having these two very different people in the household is like valuable. And in this week's rant ravel tip, it's going to be a rave about a fantastic humidifier. And I've had many a humidifier, but this one is very popular and it's great. It's called LEVOIT or something. And what I appreciate about it is that it has a total darkness function at night. Not a single solitary light is showing on that humidifier, and it is whisper quiet, which is not easy to find. So I'll put a link to that in my Amazon merchant page. I'm kidding. In the links to the episode. And thank you for letting me steal your time. And please hit the bell icon to get notified when I release these episodes, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much. Bye.